Arsenal just destroyed Man City 5-1, handing Guardiola his biggest defeat in his managerial career. But this result wasn't just about the scoreline. It was a statement of intent from Mikel Arteta's team, and a brutal exposure of Man City's growing vulnerabilities, underlining the fact that throwing money at a problem can only get you so far. But how exactly did Arsenal pull this off? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at why Man City's build-up was incredibly risky and led to a lot of problems thanks to Arsenal's well-organised press, and how Arsenal's low block gave Man City little space to be dangerous in the final third, completely nullifying some of their more dangerous players. Welcome to talkSPORT, my name is Cormac from Football Meta. Don't you just love it when two teams clearly don't like each other? And it feels like it's been years since we've seen a rivalry like this in the Premier League. Arsenal-Man City has been a drama-filled fixture for some time now, but after their most recent 2-2 draw back in September, things got personal. And Arsenal clearly did not forget what was said by certain players in that match, with players like Gabriel and Lewis Skelly enjoying the win. It was truly a 6-pointer in last night's match, with Arsenal opening up a 9-point gap over Man City and staying within touching distance of Liverpool. But it was definitely a game of two halves, as although Arsenal went into the break with a 1-goal lead, they didn't see much of the ball in the first half, but were able to defend excellently and limit Man City to only a few chances. And it was in the second half where the energy of Arsenal's young squad became too much for this aging Man City team to deal with. But let's take a look at why Man City's build-up was largely ineffective against Arsenal's press. Man City made one change in their lineup from their 3-1 win against Chelsea, and that was the introduction of Savinho on the left flank in the place of Gundogan in midfield. And while in their last match it was the fullbacks that held the width and City looked to completely outnumber the midfield, in this match it was Núñez on the right and either Savinho or Marmoush on the left, with Guardiola giving the team a bit more support playing from a deeper position. But before Man City could even get into this shape, they first needed to bypass Arsenal's high press, which caused Man City a lot of issues in this game. When building from the back, Man City would have their centre-backs split either side of the box, with Ortega being used as the extra man against Arsenal's front two of Havertz and Odegaard. But as Man City would circulate possession, Arsenal would also get Martinelli and Trossard involved in the press, closing off all the options in the centre. And this instantly gave them the lead after just 90 seconds. As Stones plays the ball into Akanji, Arsenal completely surround him. The pass back to Ortega is blocked off, and so is the pass into Kovacic by Declan Rice. As he plays it into the centre, it's intercepted, and Arsenal find the lead through Martin Odegaard. It's an extremely risky build structure used by Pep Guardiola, as when it works effectively, it means you can comfortably outnumber the opposition's midfield. But by leaving this huge gap in the centre of the pitch with the centre-backs being in a wide position, it means you are completely exposed to any passes through the middle if possession is lost. Arsenal coped with this structure extremely well, as they would close off both centre-backs, and when possession shifted to Ortega, they would continue their run to rush a pass, often meaning Man City would resort to long balls into Haaland, who wasn't able to consistently win the aerial duel. These mistakes in build-up led to some huge chances for Arsenal, with Havertz missing an important chance to make it 2-0 in the first half, before Partey's deflected shot gave Arsenal the lead minutes after Haaland's equaliser. The vast majority of the first half was played with Man City in possession further up the pitch, and Arsenal sitting in a 4-4-2 mid-block structure. From a position like this, Guardiola deployed the 3-1-3-3 structure used by Cruyff, with Kovacic as the holding midfielder and Bernardo Silva, Foden and Marmoush between the lines. And while on paper this shape could outnumber Arsenal's midfield when either winger pushed forward to close down the back line, the other three players would shift over to ensure there were no passes through the middle. And if a player did receive the ball, then one of the centre-backs would break the defensive line to close down the player in this position. This resulted in Man City's attacking line being pretty toothless, especially in the first half, with the only real chance coming from Marmoush with a long-range effort from outside the box, or Gvardiol's header from the corner. As Man City pushed further and further up the pitch, Arsenal would get all their players behind the ball, shifting into a low block structure. Man City would adopt a much more aggressive shape in possession, with Akanji and Gvardiol pushing forward and forming a line of three with Kovacic, with Stones being the last line of defence. But again, because of this compact shape in the middle, it made it extremely difficult for City to progress centrally, and would resort to crosses into the box, where Saliba and Gabriel were able to keep Haaland quiet. Except for City's only goal of the night, with Savinho cutting nicely from the left flank and finding Haaland on the back post. But the draw didn't last for long, and Partey put Arsenal ahead once again. And it was as Man City started to push further and further up the pitch that they started to expose their defensive line more often, with the fullbacks being extremely high up the pitch and leaving Arsenal a lot of space to run into, eventually leading to Havertz's goal to make it 4-1. But Lewis Skelly's goal to make it 3-1 highlighted how Arsenal had some really interesting ideas of their own in possession, and caused Man City a lot of issues with their fluid rotations. When in possession, Arsenal did not insist on build-up at all costs, and Raya did often go long into Havertz shifting over to either flank to try and outnumber the fullback. However, in the occasion where they did try to build from the back, their rotations meant they were able to get a lot of players forward on the attack. With Raya in possession, both centre-backs would split similar to Man City, but Partey and Odegaard were much more active in the centre. Specifically, Odegaard was consistently dropping deep in this game to receive the ball, switching play into the flanks before running forward to join the attack. In midfield, Arsenal were extremely fluid in their rotations. Rice and Trossard would swap positions on the flank, Havertz would move over to the left with Martinelli, and Lewis Skelly would invert into a more central position more often. It's a clear sign of Arteta distancing himself from the ideas of positional play, with Arsenal no longer relying on a specific structure when in possession like we saw in previous seasons. And while this shape has had its difficult moments this season, often resulting in the lack of a clear striker up top, it worked perfectly in this game against Man City. Lewis Skelly's goal is a perfect example of these rotations, finding themselves with Gabriel and Declan Rice out wide. Odegaard, who'd moved over from the right flank, and the left back Lewis Skelly perfectly positioned between the lines to receive on the turn, and finished brilliantly to claim his first goal for Arsenal. A lot of the times in this match, Arsenal adopted the completely opposite system to Guardiola, and while Man City wanted to overload the centre with as many players as possible, Arsenal would often look to completely vacate the centre of the pitch, preferring to form a lot of overloads out wide, eventually looking for the switch in play or for a player making a late run onto the edge of the box. Arsenal were also helped out by a pretty lacklustre press from Man City, with players like Foden, Bernardo Silva and Marmoush not effectively covering the defensive line. Specifically, after his misplaced pass that led to Partey's goal, Foden seemed pretty unwilling to press, and was consistently caught out from that moment forward. Arsenal finished the game off with Ethan Nwaneri's excellent curled shot onto the back post, highlighting the gulf in young talent both teams currently have at their disposal. Man City have been spending more and more money to try and fix these issues, but new signings like Marmoush are yet to impress, and will certainly take some time to adjust to the Premier League. Arsenal, on the other hand, seem content to keep this team going until at least the summer transfer window. But do you think this will pay off for them this season, or is the gap to Liverpool too much for them to close down? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. For more in-depth breakdowns on the Premier League and European football, you can find them on my channel, Football Meta. Thanks for watching.